So in this video, we're going to walk through the concept of game zones in the Game Cards app. It's a super powerful feature and concept that unlocks lots of different opportunities and use cases around sharing and collaboration at all sorts of levels, from individuals and small groups, communities, up to large organisations working nationally and potentially globally. I said this would be a combination of conceptual and also showing how these concepts actually operate in the Game Cards app. I'll be skipping through some things that have been covered in other videos or in our documentation, so if something doesn't make sense, check out the docs. So game zones, what are they? How do they work? Let's go to our docs, speaking of those. So you can see there's the URL up there if you want to visit our docs site. So game zones. Your game zone is a virtual space within the app that you control, where you can create and store cards, card decks, players, and the records of awarding cards to players. You can invite others into your game zone, and you can also accept invitations to join other people's game zones. Your game zone is created automatically the first time you load the app in the browser as part of your profile, and we will go through that. If that sounds a bit familiar or makes sense even off the top, you might have used Discord. So if you have used Discord before and are familiar with the concept of a Discord server, Game Zone is similar in many ways to how a Discord server operates. If we go to Discord site, we see about their servers. Servers are the spaces on the Discord. They are made by specific communities and friend groups. The vast majority of servers are small and invitation only. Sounds very similar to what we just said about game zones. If you haven't used Discord, don't worry, we'll cover everything you need to know here. So conceptually, a game zone, as said in the docs, it's the space, a virtual space that holds your cards, so all the cards you create as you start to use the app. And it also holds players when you start to create players in the app and enter those in. It also holds and manages your card decks. Cards can belong to multiple decks. And as we also said, it starts to track and record and hold data about the players that have been awarded certain cards over time. So that's the concept. It stores all the data related to those key things: cards, players, card decks, and awarded cards. Let's have a quick look at what it looks like in the app. So this is the first time I might have gone into the app. As you can see at the moment, by default on the top left, we've just got a game zone called My Game Zone. Like we said in the docs, that's created automatically the very first time you load up the app. And if we go into profile here from the drop-down menu on the top right, let's give ourselves a name to start with. So at the moment we've got some just random letters. We'll call my display name will be Mark. Save that. And let's give this game zone a name. Creatively titled Mark's Game Zone, but that can be whatever you like. And let's say keep on the basketball theme. We'll give an avatar here or logo related to basketball. Okay, so we're done there. Now you can see in the top left, we've now the game zone's called Mark's Game Zone. We've got our basketball icon there to recognise what we're in. If you click on the game zone name, it'll bring up the game zone side panel here, which will list all the game zones your own at the top always, and then any you've been invited into and join underneath. At the moment, it's just ours. Okay. So how does it start to work and look when we want to collaborate and invite others into our game zone? So again, here we've got our game zone with our cards and players, Mark's Game Zone on the left. There might also be another user called Chloe that has a game zone, and she's created cards and players in her game zone. And another person called Jessie that also has a game zone, but at the moment they haven't created any cards or players. So what does it look like to start to invite people in? Okay, what if we want to invite Chloe and Jesse into Mark's game zone? Let's have a little look at that. If we just pull this across, you'll see I've got another 2 versions of the app here that we're going to use to simulate Chloe and Jesse as well as Mark. So this is 3 different people, all on different devices, laptops, phones, tablets, whatever, using the app, and we're going to make it roughly line up with what you see on the screen here. So let's just change this profile name Chloe, so it makes some sense. There's Chloe now, and this one's going to be Jesse. All good. So hopefully it makes sense. So we've got Mark, we've got Chloe, we've got Jesse. Okay, so we want to invite Chloe and Jesse into Mark's game zone. So what Mark does, he goes to game zone invite, sets a password of at least 6 characters, creates a link, and then either using the QR code or here I'll just copy the link and send it. Could be sent via text message or email to Chloe to start with. She'll paste it into her browser and it says, now you've been invited to join someone's game zone. If you proceed, please enter the password for the invite. Let's do that. And join, and it says, congratulations, you have joined. So now Chloe, on the left here, she's got her game zone. If we click the drop down, she's also got Mark's game zone, which she's just joined and been invited to. So she can now select that. And we see here that, there we go, Mark's game zone is now loaded up. We see the familiar basketball icon, which matches up over here. So we know Chloe is now in Mark's game zone. Let's do the same with Jesse. We can pasting the same link in, so we can use the invite link with multiple times. Again, congratulations, you've joined. Now Jesse clicks and also has Mark's game zone available. Beautiful. We're all in and good to go. So now what will probably be reasonably obvious, we start to create cards. Don't worry about any images or anything. So Mark creates a card, syncs their game zone. Chloe and Jesse sync their game zone, and what do you know it? Mark's first card is now available to view. Okay, how are we going here? Okay, so we've seen the invites to Jesse and Chloe. They've been able to join, they've been able to see the cards. So we're seeing that they now, as we saw on the side panel, have Mark's game zone available to them. Obviously, you can join multiple game zones. And she's going to create an invite, same way. She copies that. Again, sends that now to Jesse in whatever medium she wants to use to communicate that. Jesse pastes the link in, joins. Congratulations, you've joined Zoe's game zone. So now Jesse, currently in Mark's, but now has 3, their own game zone, Mark's game zone, and Chloe's game zone. To recap, we've gone through how game zones work, the sort of data they hold, how you invite others into game zones, and then how they can see cards. There's lots more to show here around, especially if you're inviting players in, how you link players and their IDs so that they can see the cards they've been awarded automatically and have their names highlighted. But as we said, the big thing with game zones is around the sharing, collaboration with a group, team, community, organisation, and it unlocks lots of potential and really powerful use cases and features. Get in touch if you'd like to have a chat about any of this.